Well, hello and welcome back to the Improvement Season podcast, guys. Thank you very much for always tuning in here with us. Hopefully it is on the new RSS feed. If not, if you're listening over on YouTube, feel free to head over already to the new RSS feed. You can find it if you're just looking for the Improvement Season podcast on one of your podcast providers. Just wanted to quickly give a quick reminder at the beginning of this podcast. So here we are. Steve, hello. How are you doing?
I am good. Yeah, it's, I guess I can kick things right off with being 2.5 weeks. Yeah, I guess it's 2.5. We're almost through Wednesday. So 2.5 weeks into this mini cut here. And I'm getting to the portion of training, I think, this week where it's just, I'm not getting that good feedback in terms of stimulus that we talk about. The pumps are less than they were in week one, and kind of that kind of disrupted feeling, and just like going through the workouts, like even because I was describing how I got the benefits of that kind of resensitization from the active rest and the deload. Now I'm like, these movements, like I was doing pull today, I was like, it's just not, I'm not connecting with my back as well. And I think that's just down to being like in a severe calorie deficit, essentially, where I'm just not getting that good feedback. And that makes sense because like better sensations in terms of stimulus, we're in a surplus, that aligns with us saying these kind of things can be good indicators for hypertrophy, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not growing muscle in this mini cut, like that's pretty guaranteed. So that's kind of where I am. But the diet is, I described it on my story as, people were like, you're not American, you shouldn't say freeway, but I don't know why my mind is Americanized, so I called it freeway. I was saying kind of in terms of upper and lower intervention points, I'm clearly moving back on the freeway because I would describe being between your intervention points, like you can move up and down quite readily. It's like being on the freeway, whereas when you move off the freeway and you go on like the dirt track, like you're like, fuck, it's like hard to travel down here, I'm kind of stuck in the mud. And that's where I felt like I was at peak mass, because my weight is just suddenly came down to, I hit a low of 186 pounds, which was 10 pounds down from, actually over 10 pounds down from my like peak like weigh-in. That was my peak low, I guess. And it's just been super easy. And I hate to say it in some ways, because I know some people struggle with dieting and everything, but I struggle the other way. And this is not a struggle. Like right now, it's just like, I get a bit hungry now and then, but like I haven't really had to do too much with my diet. I'm still enjoying plenty of foods, and actually it's been nice enjoying food, actually. Like I messaged you, I was like, oh, it's nice eating a steak and like some veggies and like enjoying that meal and not feeling like I have to force feed like a huge bowl of rice on the side or something. So it's been really refreshing. And I guess that's how a mini cut really should be. Like if you're feeling like it's torture and you're really struggling through it, it's like, oh, I don't know if mini cutting's the right solution for you or the right time for you right now. So yeah, certainly for me, it again, like the active rest, it's just been a reminder of like, know your body, know how you respond, focus on that, because you're N equals 1. And it's been a good reminder. And I think I'm coming to realize really that my body likes to be in that like mid 180s to mid 190s. When I try and push outside either way, it probably starts kicking up a bit of a fuss. So I don't think I want to push much lower than like 185 pounds, but I doubt I'll get much lower than that, because I've only got next week, and then halfway through next week, me and Charlotte, fingers crossed, because I say that like laughing, because Charlotte loves delaying these things, procrastinating as always. But I will be taking holiday, and I don't know, I'll be stopping. I'll stop it then anyway. Like I may even stop it before then.
So it's going to be a spontaneous thing then, where you decide to go.
So we have decided, even though I was talking to someone yesterday about Morocco, and apparently Morocco this time of year is really nice, and Morocco is a really nice place. And like they are a lot of veggie, vegan kind of, that's their kind of the way they eat, with pulses and grains and stuff. And it's only a 3.5 hour flight, an hour time difference. So that put a spanner in the works of like, but we basically had settled, removed Morocco, that maybe is a future journey to go down on a future holiday. We've kind of decided on Tenerife. Because even we said the Canary Islands, and then there's like fucking, don't know how many Canary Islands, like 8 of them or something. Like there's a lot of different Canary Islands. But yeah, it's looking like Tenerife is probably where we're going to go.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. No, and in regards to the diet, it absolutely makes sense in my opinion. And when you're saying like, I'm sorry to say this because I know that other people feel that it's much, much harder for them or something like this, I think I know where this is coming from, that statement, but you have nothing to apologize for. There are plenty of things in life that come easy to you and plenty of things that come very much harder to you than for other people, right? And everyone has their own kind of strengths and weaknesses. And I think that dieting is also a skill. We've talked about it so often, and you've been doing this since such a long time, and you've been playing that instrument since such a long time. So of course, certain things, certain songs that you're playing on that instrument are just a breeze for you. While there are then certain other things that still are challenging for you, whereas for others, it's maybe then a breeze.
Yeah. No, I think that's well said. I think it comes from, it's probably slightly my personality anyway, but also my coaching hat, where you deal with so many clients and they're in so many different situations where I never want to come across like I'm bragging, like, dieting's so easy. And then you're talking to your clients who are struggling for valid reasons, for whatever they might be.
Absolutely.
But like you said,
I also
experience
think
counts a lot.
Yeah. And I think it can also act the other way around as a motivation of like, hey, this isn't just a natural kind of gift that has been given to you, but you've been working for it. And I think that this is a skill that can be developed. And it's also, like you said, if you're struggling right now with the diet, maybe it isn't the right time for you. And this is something that I've experienced in the past. There were times with dieting where it was just like freaking hard. Why? Because I've tried to make it happen no matter what. And right now, over the years, things have gotten so incredibly easy. And every single time that I'm dieting right now, it's just, I mean, it's kind of like a second nature to some extent.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, actually. And I think I also, like we've talked about so many times, as you do this more, you gain more experience, you get a bit more mature about it. I'm less like every time I'd previously gone into mini cuts, and I've definitely mini cut in inappropriate times. And I said that in my, like, after my 2017 season, I cut when I was like, just didn't need it. And I wasn't really listening to my body. I was more so just thinking by the book of how I should be doing things. And same with this mini cut. Like when I used to do mini cuts, I used to be very much like, no eating out, no takeaways. I must like completely revert my diet to like completely clean food. And I'm like, I actually don't need to do that. I also don't need to lose super fast because I'm probably doing this for longer than I necessarily need to anyway. And I kind of took a bit of inspiration from our chat last time where you talked about your training and how like you're still putting a lot of effort towards it, but you're also enjoying it because it doesn't need to be as serious as maybe even make it. And so, yeah, I've been like enjoying, like, just, for example, on the weekend, we went to, I know your your disdain for burgers because they go in like a few bites. But it was just like, me and Charlotte are so bad. We're so lazy with cooking. Like it was like later in the day, we're like, like we normally would eat out on the weekend for a dinner. And we're just like, what could we do? And I was like, well, I can go and get this beef burger from this, like the restaurant. It's 550 calories. They have the calories provided. And I don't think that's a bad shout. And rather than getting chips, which I might have got in the past, I'll just get some coleslaw. And I was like, we went and ate that. And I was like, man, beef burgers have never tasted so good. And I was just like, just enjoyed this. And I was like, like you said, the experience, it's not like I've just randomly decided this. I still had to map out the rest of my day, make sure like I was having Greek yogurt with like bananas and strawberries, and like other meals were like, I got veggies and like lean meats in. So I wasn't like being an asshole the rest of the day. Not that that's an asshole dinner, but it allowed then for me to be able to enjoy that. And in the past, it would just been like, no, Charlotte, for this mini cut, 4 weeks, I'm not eating out because that's not appropriate in a mini cut. Whereas now I'm like, well, it can be for me. Right now, it's not a problem. So that was it's nice just to kind of, I think I come from that very neurotic background. So it's nice realizing that I don't need to be that way and can kind of, I'm more accepting of things. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, maybe I'm leaving cards on the table because I'm eating a meal out and I could have done something like 0.99% better or something. It's like, oh, mate, like it's not a big deal.
And this is actually what I've been referring to also when it comes to a skill. You know how much of an impact something has, because you've been talking about, possibly I'm leaving something on the table. But then with experience, you know that something is so negligible that you couldn't even possibly measure it. And then you kind of weigh the other pros against the cons maybe. And it isn't easy at first because you're putting everything on the same or the same importance to it, when in reality we all know that this isn't what it's like. but how should you quantify it in the beginning? You can't, right? Because you lack the skills, you lack the knowledge. And that's why certain things just freak you out much, much more so than justified.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it was an interesting thought I had recently where I was almost like, it could be an interesting experiment to try some part-time. It's just like mindful eating through a mini cut. Not even tracking things, just doing how I normally eat and just kind of going via appetite and knowing that I want to be a bit hungry at the end of the day. The only issue I probably will find is that I would go too hard too soon. And I'd just be like, fuck it, I'm going to strip everything back. And I'd be like, oh no, I'm feeling knackered. So I think that would be my issue, is I'm probably a little bit extreme in those scenarios.
Yeah. I think it's probably just because your caloric intake in a gaining phase and also maintenance phase is so high that the fall to the downside would also be such a huge fall overall. Whereas for someone like me, if I were to go hard, I would still probably only end up in a milder aggressiveness of a deficit instead of you. Because if you were to cut down like 2,000 calories, right, that would leave me with, what is it, 300 calories to play with? Right?
Fuck me.
And that's not possible, you know?
Is that your... I was actually, I don't know who I was speaking to. It might have been Shimmy Hacker, who I was in my mini cut. We went to Wagamama. I had a meal out with him. He's back in the US now, but I think I was talking to him and I was like talking through how many calories are on. And I said, I wasn't sure, but this is how ridiculous it is. And this is why I sometimes feel bad. And like you said, I shouldn't feel bad, but I'm losing like aggressively on 2,400 to 5,000 calories, which I think is closer to your maintenance.
No, it's more like my gaining.
Surplus. Yeah, which is like, that's madness to me. And it's all relative, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, we're at the opposite ends of these spectrums.
Yeah, we are. But I mean, it's kind of the same as if you were to, I don't know, feel sorry for being absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, what the fuck? Come on. This is you.
Yeah.
Don't change anything about it. Actually, you should embrace those things. And I find it kind of despicable when other people give someone shit for their successes or the things that come easy to them or that they've worked hard for and now reap the rewards. Like, I don't know, someone who spent like 10 years of getting a PhD, man, props to you, buddy.
Yeah.
Even if you're selling kind of what is it? Snake oil or something like this. You get the point, right? I never really want to discredit someone and their hard work just because I'm jealous or so. It's most often stemming from that place. So if something comes easy to you, whatever it is, Steve, I think it's absolutely all right to then say it also the way that it is, without feeling sorry for someone else. And I know where this is coming from. And I think that we all have that habit of saying, like, I'm sorry, but in reality, if we really think about it, like, how sensitive does someone else have to be? Someone else is just stating the obvious of what comes natural to them.
Yeah, I think I'm just careful where I don't want people to think everyone should have this easier time or whatever it is, because as an example, like intelligence or learning, it's always something I struggled with. So like I had to put in so many hours of revising and like learning stuff. I just never picked stuff up as easy as other people. And so if someone was like, oh, like it's super easy, like look at me, I'm super smart and like I just have to do this. I don't know, I might start feeling like, I don't know, a bit bad about myself. So I just don't
really?
Yeah, I mean, like I guess I come from the understanding that I realize that everyone's different and they have different abilities, but I don't know, like I don't know, this is a really random one, but like your hairline, I'm jealous of that hairline. Like I want that hairline. For real? Yeah, like I'm not super, well, my hairline's not great at the moment, but then there's people even in a worse position than me, like they're kind of balding, like full on, like on top. And then it's just like, yeah, I guess, I don't know where I'm coming from. It's just, I don't want to make out that like dieting is super easy for everyone all the time and I'm amazing and I've got the secret. Like I haven't, like I think it comes to me fairly naturally and I have a lot of experience with it. So anyway, that's a ramble. How are things on your end?
No, one more thing, one last thing. I think that something like envy greed, jealousy, and all that kind of stuff. These are just like normal human behaviors and also traits that people have. It's just unfortunate because when it comes to this, right, as someone else who may be then more intelligent or smarter than you has an easier time learning things. I mean, it's not your fault or his fault, right?
No,
like
I don't have a disdain towards them unless they're like they call me stupid and like I'm, I don't know, overcomplicating things.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, no, sure. But of course, they are not doing it in order for you to then feel bad, and that's why it's always baffling me when other people are giving someone else or blaming someone else then for example, when people have lost a shit ton of weight, like 30 kilograms or so, and other people give them shit for sharing that success story because it makes them other people who are struggling feel bad.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Where did we get to? You know, that's more so where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I think it's just part of my personality. I have that kind of like, I don't want to ever make anyone feel bad. I'm a people pleaser and something I'm still working on. I also know I too much want other people's approval for things. I do it all the time. I have very like seeking like other people's approval for things I'm doing. It's like, why do I even care? Like, it should be about me and what I'm doing. I probably need to see a therapist. I'm not even joking. I probably do need to see a therapist for it at some point.
It could also go the other way around, right? Where you don't even give a shit at all what other people are thinking. I know,
there's a balance, right?
And that's probably also not the best if you really don't care what other people are thinking. Like, seriously, no reason whatsoever of like taking care of, looking out for other people as well.
Yeah, I said to Charlotte, I need to read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck again, and like just like embrace some elements of that. But I find it hard to balance it. Anyway, so how's things on your end? Still, you're in your deload right now because your legs are fucked.
Yeah. So that's why there's not that much to talk about, to be honest. Like, honestly, nothing really to talk about. Last session was last week on Thursday. Not doing any kind of training for obvious reasons. Because of that, because there's a swelling going on and all that kind of stuff, I didn't weigh myself over that time frame. So yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. No training, no weighing myself for that week, and then it's back to normal again on Thursday or Friday. I don't know. Depends on how I feel overall. But normally my normal start of a week, training week, is on a Friday. So if I then drag it out for one more day, doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah. And just so the listeners are aware, his legs are fucked because there's tattoos on. Did you get it on one leg or is it on both?
Yeah, one leg.
One leg.
Yeah.
And is that your Hunter x Hunter? Because I asked you about it. No, it's not. This is Attack on Titan.
No.
Oh. What's this one?
It doesn't really matter. As I said already the last time, I do the tattoos for me, right? And that's why I can say like, all right, I got a new tattoo or something like this, but I don't always need to present it to the other people or so. And yeah, that's why.
But I'm asking and I'm interested, but you don't even want to let me know. So that's like, it's like a secret. You've got like, what's it called? Hentai. You've got a hentai, haven't you? It's like a woman splaying her legs. You've got Bulma down there with her legs splayed.
No, I never get it when people are doing something like this, you know?
Yeah, that's a bit crazy. Especially with kids, it's a little bit of a no-go for you.
So got a tattoo session there, and it was very, very, very tough, honestly, because it was 2 times 8-hour sessions, and also during a time that is not my usual time. So usually I'm that morning person. I wake up in the morning, very early in the morning, and I'm the freshest then, want to get to work. With that tattoo artist, I first arrived at the studio at around 12, and then he took his time to actually then create the stencil, like 2 to 3 hours on each day. So on the first day, we started first at 3 p.m. and then 8 hours. So
damn.
Yeah. And normally I'm going to bed at 9, and I was still sitting in that chair like at 9. And then the second day, same story. We started at 2, and then it took us all the way to 10 p.m. So yeah, tough and long sessions, especially because I wasn't anticipating that the pain around the shin and the calf area was so intense. I always thought that it's probably very similar to kind of the upper arm, but no way. It's way more painful, especially because he was saying like, okay, this is what we are doing right now is normally what people are getting over like 2 days. Like one character over 2 days, and I tried to get 2 characters done in 2 days. So yeah, it was a lot. But as I always say, this is something that you just have to endure and survive like once, and then you have it. You know, it's something I think it teaches you to kind of be patient and also to suck things up, and that's what I like as well. Kind of that prove to yourself that you can endure those painful times. I kind of like this. I don't know why.
There is, I forget what it's called. I think it's like called the Black Project or something. And there's these tattoo artists that it's like a pain tolerance test. So they come at you with needles, like a group of them, and they will hold you down. And I think there must be like a secret phrase that you say to like allow them to let you out. But like there's like YouTube videos and they're very graphic. I haven't actually watched them. I've just heard about them talk about it. And I know there's this female anime artist. I think she's called Michelle. She seems really nice, but she's had it like over her arms and face. And it's like they literally like, just like there's no design. They just like you scrape your skin and like, it's about pain tolerance. So yeah, I would never do that sort of thing. That seems kind of scary to me, but I know what you mean in terms of the pain. There's something about like, building a pain tolerance, it can help bodybuilding for sure. Like if we can endure that. It's
so funny, Steve, because what I've realized is that in the past, I had times with tattoo appointments where it was super, super hard to push through, even like after the 3-hour mark. And I really have the feeling, and I could be wrong, it could just be that I'm older and my pain nerves have died down, or are just like a little bit more insensitive to stuff like this. But I really do have the feeling that bodybuilding taught me a higher pain threshold tolerance and just being able to push for longer. I kid you not. It's super weird, but I would very much attest it to bodybuilding.
Did we talk about, I forget, it was dopamine last time. Did we bring that up at all?
I don't know what you're referring to, what kind of context it was.
This, one of my clients, Jake Reed from RP, he said he's been listening to an audiobook called Dopamine Nation. And he kind of, in there, it talks about this balance of pleasure and pain and how like you almost, to get sufficient pleasure from things, it's kind of like yin and yang in my eyes. To get sufficient pleasure from things, to appreciate the good, you have to have the bad. And he said like bodybuilding's like actually a really good example of that, because you have like your dieting where that could be painful, or I mean periods of massing for me are painful and you have to push through discomfort, but then that allows you, and you appreciate the good times, like the lean physique you get or something. I'm not sure, but similar to like, again, like training, you have to endure that pain for the like, then you get this endorphins afterwards, and it's kind of pleasure. And I see this with the tattoo, like you almost appreciate the work that's on you because you endured that, and you could sit down through that pain and discomfort, because it's not something you want to do. Like if you could, I think if a lot of people would choose, they would be like, yeah, just laser on me, like take 2 seconds. Like they would choose that.
I mean, that's also how I am, right? So if there was a method of getting tattoos painless, of course I would prefer that one over the other one. Of course. And everyone who says like, no, it's part of the process is either a masochist who really enjoys pain and does it because of this rather than getting a tattoo, or they have so far only gotten like a tiny thing. It's often kind of, sorry to say this, it's often the girls who have one tiny tattoo that lasted like, that took like 10 minutes on the ankle down at your feet. Right? That's it, right? Of course it wasn't painful. Right? But sit there for like 8 hours and he rubs over your skin like for the 600th time, it is freaking painful.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I was just relating this to other things. It was helping because I think a lot of us do this with like social media, because we get like a bit of a dopamine hit when we get a notification or a like or something. And so I would find myself drawn to my phone at times where it's like, this isn't productive. Whereas actually, if I remove it and I almost reward myself with some time on social media, I was like, this feels so much better doing it this way. So yeah, he's been implementing a little bit here. I think he said he's been doing like warm showers, and then at the end he makes it cold just to experience some pain. And I'm like, man, I would so do it the other way. I'd go cold then hot. It sounds horrific the other way.
No, but I can definitely see that, and maybe I'm missing some things, but I feel like the most rewarding things in life are the ones that took the longest to wait for, or where you need to work the hardest, or 100%. Where was the toughest to actually get to that point. Right? That's why I also think that something like buying a certain product doesn't really fulfill you with any kind of happiness or anything like. It's a short-term dopamine rush, but it will also subside so quickly as it came already. But if you're buying your dream car that you've been saving for like 20 years, it's probably that you are then feeling a much, much bigger rush, and you really then also appreciate that car, taking care of that, rather than the car that you are buying just, secondhand because you need a car or so.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, there's so much to that in terms of, like, that's why I think even for people who maybe they don't have the physique that they envisioned in future, but you certainly have improved, and like just the reward of like how much effort and time you've invested in, it's got to a point that's above average. You should feel a lot of like gratitude for that. That's
where I'm kind of at right now. I'm far away from the physique that I've ever imagined that I would be able to get. Because I always thought like you're seeing those amazing physiques all the time, especially also when you're starting, and you think that this is possible for everyone, right? To have like that super aesthetically pleasing physique. But let's be real here. Not everyone in the world is beautiful either, right? We can say this. There's no shame in that. Just from an objective perspective, like there are people that, of course, depending on who is then the observer, but we can say like, okay, this person isn't really as beautiful, or what we define as beautiful, whereas this one is, right? Or some kind of basketball players. Some people are tall and can probably play basketball in the NBA, and some people are just tiny and they don't have the skills to play there. And the same then goes for those kind of things as well when it comes to the aesthetics, the way that your muscle bellies are shaped, the frame and all that kind of stuff. You can't really change that, and either you have it or not. And I always envisioned myself to have a much, much better physique if I just work hard and long enough for it, and I don't. But at the same time, over the time frame that I've been doing now bodybuilding for, it has given me so much other things in return that I've never really thought about at first, that are way more valuable than a great looking physique, to be honest. Yeah. And that's why this journey has been so worth it so far. And it's still continuing to really make me happy and give me the pleasure and also rewards that I'm looking for. It's not so much, and this is also what I've talked about like in the last Improvement Season podcast, the overarching goal isn't about looking the very best anymore. There's way more to it. Looking the very best and improving is a byproduct. But at the same time, there's so much more now that you're then ticking off each and every single time you're going into the gym. It's not just about like, okay, ticked off another step towards then a great physique. No, it's more like, okay, I ticked off now boxes in several departments. And I think that this, I don't know why, but that's what I love about bodybuilding, what it has turned into for me. And that's why probably I will also continue doing it no matter the outcome.
Yeah, I feel you on that. And it reminds me of, I think you brought it up before, there's like a very famous kind of statistic surrounding millionaires, people who have won like the jackpot or whatever it is, the lotto, and how a lot of them, like they spend all the money very quickly and then they're like broke and they're not actually happy at all. Whereas someone who's accumulated that wealth through like years of dedication, hard work, building a business or whatever, they're going to feel so much kind of better about that amount. Although then you can get into a whole chat of there's probably thresholds to how much money you're making and how good you feel, how much work you have to put in
absolutely.
for a certain amount of money. So it's just like goes over there. But kind of bringing it back to my original point, it's like if you're just given something and you didn't have to work for it, it never feels as good as when you've worked for that damn thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's take a short break. Let's talk about the coaching service then, and then we are back in a couple of seconds. Do you not see the progress you would like? Are you sick of writing your own programs? Or perhaps you need some accountability in order to stick with a plan? Then it's time to start working with us. We at Revive Stronger offer a truly personalized coaching service. You'll get more than just an email with some macros or random cookie cutter program. With Revive Stronger, you will be the center of our attention. You will receive your own fully individualized training protocol alongside a customized nutritional strategy. We created the coaching around your needs, wants, personal preferences, and your own unique lifestyle. Every single week, we delve into your program in order to make appropriate adjustments so that we get the most out of your time and the best possible outcome. We help both female and male athletes to seriously change their body composition by adding more muscle mass and decreasing fat tissue. No matter if you're a competitive bodybuilder or just want to look better, if you need help with your progress and taking your physique to the next level, our coaching is for you. It's time to make a change. Sign up today and let's revive stronger. Here we are back again with the deepest philosophical things on the Improvement Season podcast. So other than that, Steve, once again, have you seen any kind of new things, new discoveries? I've been kind of on my phone quite a long time while I was like lying down for the tattoo appointment because I wanted to learn during that time. But actually, it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work at all. So I was then thinking like, okay, watching some anime. It worked, but you don't really want to watch anime like 16 hours straight.
No.
I don't know. I was sitting there and scrolling through the phone quite often, but I didn't really see anything because my feed is just like full of awful things, the things that you don't want to see, to be honest.
I can't say that I've necessarily seen anything like in the fitness world that's taken me not by surprise, but of particular interest. But I have been thinking recently. I've seen some bits about like coaching and online coaching and kind of the service we provide, and I've just been thinking about like how can we best voice what makes us different versus other services out there. And I also came to the realization that like a lot of, because online coaching is such a new industry, I think a lot of people are like just learning from online coaches. So like whoever the first online coaches were, like you learn from your coach. So as an example, like Mike Chalice is he's a coach on our team, and I've been coaching him for years. So the way he coaches is heavily influenced by the way I coach, and obviously the systems and everything we use. Yeah. But then I think there's, and I've seen it at least, the way I feel is that there's been like this boom of some popular coaches who have had a certain method of coaching that doesn't align with the way we coach at all. And then there's a lot of people that they've coached who are now coaches, and there's a lot of people coaching this way. And my thought is, do people think we coach that same way? Because it doesn't, from what I know and what I hear, we don't coach the same as them, and our service is quite different. And I feel like personally, our service is on another level above theirs, and that's just my personal perspective on it. And obviously results ultimately are what people are after, and maybe our services for some people are not for others. But I just worry, again, this actually, we spoke a bit about it, about like publishing. Well, I spoke to you, I haven't had your response, but maybe you'll say something here about publishing prices. We've always been like, don't put the prices on the website, we don't want people to purchase us via price. And this actually confirms that I wouldn't want that, because I wouldn't want someone to look at our price and be like, I don't know, they charge 50 quid more than this coach, and so I'm just going to go with him because online coaching is all the same. Because it can't be until we've had that consultation, until they've started really with us, that they can appreciate the level of service that they will get from us. And yeah, I'm just talking about the point, but I'm like, how do we make people realize that there's, and I guess it's actually, again, bring it round to your post on Instagram, your AI post about how essentially you're saying the kind of lower level, poorer quality service of coaching will die off because you're essentially providing what AI will be able to provide better. Everyone's going to have to level up their coaching to stay in this industry. And I already feel like I personally feel like we are on that level. We're already providing something above where AI is going to take a long time to kind of come to that like level of communication. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going with it, but I've just been thinking, like, how can we let people know what we provide without them having to go through it all?
I mean, there are so many things that you've touched on that we can dissect and then talk about. So first off, of course, I think that every coaching business, or just every business itself, needs to be somewhat different to the other businesses out there. Unless, I don't know, you're a coffee place, then it doesn't really matter if you have like a unique selling point or so, because you are in that local area and people come to you because you're the closest, or maybe you offer good coffee or something like this, you know. Whereas when it comes to coaching service, especially online coaching service, you're now dealing with the best of the best in the online coaching realm, and your competition is the entire world. And even there are differences then in the methodology of the coaches, and that's, I think, absolutely right. Each and every service, each and every coach needs to figure out what they and how they work the best. For some, it's kind of email communication. For some, they just want to give out kind of macros or so. For some, like us, we do it a little bit more in depth when it comes to the check-ins and all that kind of stuff. But I definitely see why and how it can be confusing and kind of confusing for the vast majority of people when just looking at the term online coaching, that it all looks the same. And in reality, it isn't. And I feel your frustration, because I feel the same way, because I take a huge pride in what it is that we are providing and the quality that we are providing. And we are capping our athlete roster at a certain number for a reason, because I can't, from a moral perspective, sell something that I can't really provide. I would be a completely a shitty scammer. I couldn't scam people. I don't know why, because I never see maybe some people that are then being scammed, but I couldn't. And I feel that when you're then taking a look at some other coaches, it feels like a scam. If you then look from the outside and you are probably even providing a similar service, but that is completely different in the way that you are offering that. But at the same time, I take a little bit of, of a mental relief when it comes to this, because I know that, and this is also where my post was coming from, that AI will be taking care of the shitty services out there. It sounds harsh. Maybe it is also harsh, but it has always been like this. The market normally cleanses the shitty products out of the market at some point. That's normally the case. Sometimes there are rare exceptions, but this is also where technological advancement will then clean out all of the bad players most of the time and all of the shitty products out there, because technology then makes things often cheaper and more accessible for the vast majority of people, and just are able to offer a better product overall. And this is no exception to AI. And of course, some people were in disagreement with me about it, which I did expect, but often it is stemming from a place where they haven't really given it enough thought and haven't really considered what AI is really all about. Most of the people still think that it's a robot, then, being at your doorstep or walking through your apartment. But that's not what AI necessarily means to be. Or something like general AI. So general AI refers to an intelligent form of AI that then is able to offer different solutions to different situations and all that kind of stuff. And this is still very, very rare and also very hard to create. But something that we are offering online coaches. We all know, every listener knows that if you just go to your local gym, the vast majority of personal trainers that you're seeing there, they don't really have a great qualification. And also they are still giving out very bad advice, very bad programming, and they are doing a shitty job. We don't need to kid ourselves about this. And the same goes for a lot of personal trainers that are now online coaches as well. The cookie cutter programs, the way that they are communicating with their athletes. When I hear that an online coach sometimes takes 5 days to respond to an athlete, don't you think that an AI can do it better? With an AI, you would have an immediate response if you have a question. And that question is probably way more scientifically driven, because it just scrolls or looks through the entire database that is out there. Just go over to Chat GPT, and you will get some very, very good answers most of the time. And then we have other things where then people are saying like, people will always look for that human interaction. Yeah, but even this AI will do a better job at. We already there have kind of things and examples where people couldn't even tell whether they are interacting with an AI or a human. And believe me, if then we are going all the way over to then, what's it called again? That face recognition thing where it's creating deepfake.
Deepfake, yeah.
If this is then coupled with an engine, with an AI engine that is then also kind of a personal trainer engine, let's say, right? And so something like ChatGPT, where it has access to a huge database, don't you think that then someone like Tom Cruise couldn't be your PT in the future? And would you really be able to tell? No. You think you will be able to tell, but you won't, right? And this is then where I take a little bit of solace in the thought that in the future, those who don't adapt and those who don't really will make a great job will be flushed out. Those who will, they will probably survive and flourish, because then these are really the individuals that shine, that can't be replicated as easily of an AI as many others. I know it was a long story, a long ramble.
It's good.
These are my thoughts around this, and everyone who says otherwise of like AI not being able to replace personal trainers because people are looking still for human interaction or anything alike. This is absolute bullshit, because it's it's kind of developing and evolving at such an incredible rate at the moment that we can't even fathom what it will be like in 10 years from now. If we were, then we would easily be able to invest our money into everything and be rich in a couple of years because we were able to see into the future, but we aren't. But with the way that things are developing at the moment, man, believe me, this will change our industry. Definitely. There's no way around it.
Have you seen the movie? And we may have brought it up before. It's called Her.
Yes. With Jacqueline Phoenix and stuff.
Yes, it's a super weird movie, but it reminds me of this situation completely, where he has an AI girlfriend and he falls in love with her.
And I think it's a great example, right? And it doesn't have to be dystopian, because I think that so many people, when they are thinking about technological advancement, they only think about dystopian thoughts. They never really have an idea about the potential positive impacts it can have on medicine, on our society, and all that kind of stuff, because people are always afraid. And they are also kind of impacted by all of the sci-fi movies that then have like AI being the bad and always dystopian, instead of also what it can do for us. And that's the same here as well. Either, and this is also something that I said, either I will be wrong, and then it was a random dude on the internet who said like something, who cares, right? Or it will turn out to be right, maybe not in the time frame that I had laid out, and you were able to adapt to it and stand out, right? Take it or leave it. So, in my opinion, and if you rely that you will be always needed and important, I think it's a fool's errand, and it's something that many industries over the decades, over the centuries, said all the time. And with technological advancement, they have been made redundant. It has happened so often in human history, and so often where the vast majority of people saying like, no, this will never happen because XYZ, and it always happened.
Yeah, I think it's where was I going to go? Why is my head? Oh, okay, so the thing that I find interesting to this is when someone, because I think the thing I talk about with, again, that differentiates our coaching and why I think AI will take a while to take over something that we provide, is that communication, that empathy, that client coach connection. And I don't know if you know that you're talking to an AI, that you'll be able to get that sort of like oh, the AI is putting themselves in my shoes and they are empathetic with me, but they are AI and not a real human. I don't know if you'll quite get that connection, that real human connection. I'm sure it will get to a point where it will be able to have that, but I feel like that is the differentiating factor in the shorter term, at least. Because for me, if I had a coach and I knew it was an AI and it was like saying, oh, it's okay, Steve, or like, I don't know, it was trying to give me some sympathy, I'd be like, this is a fucking like AI. I don't know. Like I find that hard from my perspective, knowing that it was AI, to then have that connection with it. Even if, like, again, that like girlfriend, like with her, I don't know. Again, it's a good example because I don't know if in there he knows it's an AI. I think he does know it is, and he still has that he still convinces himself almost that it isn't, and that he then does develop that relationship with it.
To be honest, I even also there think that AI would do a better job in responding to you in an empathetic manner if it's programmed in a specific way. And AI is able to then collect data points from millions and billions of entries. So of course, and it has it readily available in a near instant. And this is something that humans don't have. And also remember this, we as humans, we are also emotionally driven. And let's just say that someone else annoys us, right? And you are then supposed to stay neutral and empathetic. It makes it even much, much harder than for the human coach to then give out empathy in that scenario rather than an AI. So you could always make that case an argument as well. And I even do believe that because we always have to remember what AI then has available to them. And it's not limited by what it is that we have. It can always work and give out the appropriate answer because it's collecting data. And it can collect. So let's just say you're signing up and you are then going through a consultation where you are then being asked some questions, and then it can detect the tonality in your voice, how you're responding to a specific question. And maybe it can then also, I don't know, let's go down a very crazy route here. It can then sense your heart rate, when it is that you're getting a little bit more nervous, when it is that your body temperature is increasing as well on certain questions, right? This all a coach has a very hard time detecting. Now, let's just say that AI can give out much, much better responses than we ever can. And this is also why we may be hesitant at first, but I think that if it's like in her, he knows it as well, and he feels weird about it at first, but it gives him such a good feeling about himself and so much comfort that you would very quickly get used to it and probably never really want to go back to something else, I would very much assume, because it gives you such a good sensation and also such a good experience. And it just needs a little bit, someone in your environment who tested it and has only positive things to say about it. We know it from certain fitness apps right now, such as, let's go down the route of Macro Factor app, right? It's a very, very good app that is tracking the macros and gives out some recommendations. I've only heard good things about it. And this is based, of course, on AI and an algorithm as well. And this extrapolated up to 10 years, how good a dietary app can give out recommendations. And if one person is then giving it a try, sees some good results and feels great with it, he will definitely recommend it to someone else. And that person will then perhaps also have great results, and it will just spread like wildfire very, very quickly. And then everyone will use it. And it's kind of like a smartphone, you know? It seems so weird at first. Just think back like 20 years ago. If someone were to come to you and say like, hey, in a couple of years, you will carry your computer with you in your pockets and you will be able to do everything with it. And at some point, everyone in the world will have a device like this and already be connected to the internet 24/7. They would have called you crazy. And now we are already so intertwined with that device. It's probably then going to be a gradual transition over then to also then take care or make use of something like AI in many, many different areas of our life. And this will be no different in then consultations around medical care, healthcare, and also then fitness especially.
Don't know where I saw it. And by the way, I don't know like have a strong position on this. I definitely think AI is just going to completely change the face of things. And I think, like I said, the first thing to go is like shitty coaches who are essentially doing, like Macro Factor is a great example, because that's already wiping the floor of like shitty coaches who aren't providing anything more than macros, because it's like, this thing can do it better than you. But yeah, I think I saw an article, I think it was like in China or something, where AI girlfriends were causing OnlyFans, like females in China of OnlyFans, to lose subscribers.
Oh, really?
Because I guess guys use OnlyFans to chat with the person and get that social interaction. And it's like, they're like, fuck, this AI can do it better. It charges less, and they do it with that. And that's a great example. Like, that's exactly what her was. So yeah, it's an interesting, in some ways scary, because it feels wrong for that sort of thing to happen, where people are going away from, but we're already there with the social media. We already took our interactions from face to face to then online, and now it's like a next level of, now you're not even talking to like another human, but it's an AI that's programmed by millions or billions of humans or whatever. Like, it's taking the experience from everyone. So it's going to be super interesting.
And that's why a coach can never really offer what an AI can offer when the AI is advanced enough. Because you brought up the example once again with Macro Factor, right? And this is the beginning of something like this. And it's being fed millions of entries on a daily basis. And it is able to then also make use of the data points. And we as coaches, we are, of course, quite limited in our capabilities and abilities of collecting data and interpreting the data and making use of that data. Unfortunately, it would be amazing if we were just kind of machines, but most of the time we aren't. And I think that it's like you said, at some point, it already feels scary. The thought alone feels scary. And I also understand when people are saying these things of like, it will never replace the human interaction. This is, once again, in my opinion, coming from a place of ignorance, not wanting it to happen, right? Because you may be afraid of something, of the unknown maybe, and also coping. Whereas you don't want to be made redundant. You don't want to accept that possibly in the future, what it is that you're offering is not in need anymore. That is not a comfortable thought. And I know exactly that where this is coming from. People are getting into a defensive mechanism and also position because it's a very uncomfortable thought. Or how do you feel about this, Steve? If I were to tell you, like, in 10 years, you won't have a job anymore, so you better actually now make sure to learn something new. Do you feel comfortable with that thought? Hell no.
No, of course not. I don't. The perspective I kind of have is, I think I, at the moment, struggle with seeing it replacing that human interaction. I understand the points that it absolutely could, but I kind of need to see it before I believe it, in a sense, just because it's such a, it feels fairly far-fetched at this point that it could do that. I don't know, even with like algorithms and apps and things like that, like even now, people still invest with us for their nutritional coaching because there's something we're adding to that experience that they're not getting from the app. Whereas again, that could change in future. I guess it's like MyFitnessPal or your Apple Watch gives you a reminder, like get up, do some steps or something. It's going to be like way more advanced than that. Yeah. But I guess it's more of it probably is more of a when versus an if. And
100%.
I guess my hope is that it's after we retire.
Could very well be. I don't know. I mean, many of the AI experts, they are talking about the event horizon when AI has developed so fast that there's no turning back anymore, right? Where it's kind of just accelerating at an ever so exponential speed, and we can't even keep up anymore because it's just so very much fast increasing. We can see
this about that, right?
Yeah, Event Horizon, but this is a sci-fi movie. This has nothing to do with AI.
Is it not?
No. This has to do because the Event Horizon is also from black holes. When you're crossing a specific point, you can't escape the gravity of the black hole anymore. right? And then time-space is actually then being warped once you are crossing that line, and you can't ever go back. That's what the event horizon is. But once again, AI experts are also talking about that probably it will happen somewhere around 2030. And if you just take a look at something like, I think everyone has heard by now, ChatGPT by now, and this has been in the making for a longer period of time, but first since like a couple of months, it is really taking off. And just take a look at how many people are now using that and how it already shapes things, how it is being used as well. And every single day, millions of people are feeding it data. And by that, it's ever so well increasing and developing once again. And it's getting better and better because of those things as well. And by popularity, something gets more attention. There's more profit to be made. Hence, it is even more so being developed because there is, once again, profit to be made as well for other companies. So that's why with what it is that we are seeing right now, I can't see that it won't take place unless there's kind of
an intervention of some sort.
Yeah, but the thing is, then globally that intervention needs to happen, and at the same time, the Pandora's box has been opened, and that's why people will always be drawn towards that and continue developing on that, because they also then see, of course, possible benefits to themselves in trying to get an edge if you are making use of that technology as well. And that's why Pandora's box has been opened. And when it then comes to, once again, going back to the fitness industry, it will probably be first happen with things that are more easily done around coaching, such as right now that we're seeing with macro apps. And then over time, it's getting more and more complex. It will probably be blended with other AI engines. And then it will get to the point where you then have like once again, Tom Cruise sitting in front of you, or whoever you want to coach you, that is then being created by something like deepfake, alongside with then an engine such as ChatGPT that will always give you answers immediately that are even based on the scientific literature and evidence, which is just incredible. Because if you're now chatting with ChatGPT, the responses are actually quite impressive most of the time.
Unfortunately, I went on there just today, again, the browser, and it's still saying it's at like capacity, so I can't get access to it. But I know they have an app, but I think you have to pay for it. It's like a monthly subscription or something. So I haven't actually used it at all. My only experience, well, not only, I've probably experienced it elsewhere, but I used the AI for image like generation. Yeah. But it's crazy to think you could probably plug in like, I think I saw someone on social media do it. He like plugged in a bunch of footballers and said, make these footballers into superheroes, and like it then punched out a bunch of images. But it's crazy, like whose job is that taking? In a way, it could take a graphic designer's like job in some instances, where it's just like an AI. You give in an AI a couple of inputs, a picture of a car and like a spaceship, and then it's like throws out all these like really cool images or whatever. And it's like, oh damn, like that took minutes.
Yeah, but you have to understand the engine and also how you're creating those pictures, because you need to put in some prompts in order to then generate what it is that you desire. And this in it for itself takes a lot of time figuring out what it is that you want and need. And I think that especially like graphic designers, creatives, they can use or take this to their advantage and make use of something like this. And this is also what I've said in my post. Instead of fighting it and living in ignorance and say like, no, it will never take over my job, you can at some point probably even take advantage of something like this and offer even a better service, right? And then you can have the human interaction alongside the AI. And that is probably a combination that is killer if you know how to make use of it. But I think that the worst thing that you can do is just close your eyes for what is about to happen and what's to come and say like, no, it will never replace me. It can't ever compete with me, because this is something, once again, history tells us that technological advancement has always made jobs redundant. At the same time, though, it has also created opportunities and new jobs. And if you don't adapt, then you will end up as so many companies in history who weren't willing to adapt and go with time. A good example is someone like Blockbuster, for example, right? They never really took something like Netflix seriously, and they run out of business at some point.
You know, Love Film was before them as well, where you'd like subscribe to like DVDs and they'd send you DVDs every month, and then that died like a very quick death because Netflix came in. I guess next time, there's probably not time to talk about it now. I'd be interested because I imagine you've thought about this more than me. I've only listened to like a couple of podcasts that's talking about AI. I heard Jonathan Goodman, he had an interesting take on it, but he was holding towards the human interaction, at least at this stage. What ways you think personal trainers or online coaches could use it to their advantage, and what you think people need to do to stay on track and level up alongside it. Like, how can we currently use it? Because I mean, I haven't, again, like I tried to use ChatGPT, but I can't get on there. And at the moment, I don't want to pay a monthly fee for it. So I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on that, but we'll probably have to cover that next time.
Yeah, one last thing, and that is, once again, I just want to reiterate, I'm not saying this in order to smirk in our faces or be like, you will lose your job and be happy about this or so, right? But at the same time, once again, if you're living in ignorance of what is about to happen and what's to come, then probably it will happen to you, right? And either you can take it perhaps a little bit seriously and maybe be interested of like, hey, maybe there's something to it that Pascal has said, right? And then you're looking into it, do your own research and come to your own conclusion. Maybe you then come to the conclusion that I'm completely full of shit and just continue living your life, and maybe it turns out fine, right? Or maybe there's something to it. Maybe you're discovering things for yourself and you, I don't know, make things even better in your own company or with the way that you are offering things and doing things. I'm not saying those things in order to fearmonger or to scare people of now taking action or so, right? We don't know when something like this is happening, but it's like you said, Steve. It's not a question of when, but probably a question of if. And if you're a younger person, a trainer, then just be prepared for something like this. And I really hope that a discussion like this just open up your mind and the perspective, the potential perspective that lies in front of you, and not so much of like, he's full of shit. What a dumb take. I hate it. Fuck him. Right? That doesn't help anyone. It's just an
emotional response.
And exactly. If you're reacting like this, then you're just admitting that probably there is some truth to it. And you're just responding to it because you don't want it to be reality and want it to be real, right? So step away from it from an emotional perspective. If you feel threatened or, I don't know, angry about what it is that I've said here, then you already have your answer, I think.
And I would be interested in, for people on YouTube at least, because they can comment. But if people are listening and they want to like tag us on Instagram and share this and share their thoughts, I'd be very interested to know what other people are thinking. If people are already using any sort of AI or ChatGPT in their coaching service, or if they've just tried it, because it's all kind of new and in many ways exciting, some ways threatening, but I think ultimately it should be a push in the right direction for humanity. Let's say it that way.
Hopefully.
Until the robots take over.
No. I'm an optimist when it comes to these things, when it comes to technological advancements, instead of a pessimist. And I don't see a dystopian future. It could always happen, of course. But I believe in the good of humanity, especially when it comes to coders, because of the ethics that most coders have, that it's a public good and they want to do good in the world. And of course, every kind of technological advancement can be probably then also abused and used for bad things. But this is something that nearly everything, right? Have a knife, for example, can be used for something good or something bad.
For sure. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Again, hopefully people have found us over on the Improvement Season over on their podcast provider. And yeah, as always, subscribe if you haven't, share this, give us a like, give us a nice review. We appreciate all of that. And I guess we'll speak to you next time.
Cheers, guys. And thank you very much.
Losing weight fast while maintaining muscle mass. Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? It isn't though. It's reality and we know how to do it. And we will help you achieve this. The Minicut Movement is an 8-week fat loss program to make you lose a huge chunk of fat while maintaining muscle mass at the same time. We will support you from the beginning to the end so that you see the results you would like to and come out of it much stronger. You'll receive a fully automated spreadsheet that is based on your nutritional needs. You can choose between 6 different male and female training templates. Over 30 videos will guide you through each and every single step of the Minicut so that you're getting the most out of your journey and that you always know what to do. But the best thing is that you can start whenever you want. The Minicut Movement is open 24/7. So if you want to learn more or you're ready to sign up, hit the link in the description below. So let's revive stronger together.